Made it. We did it. It's happening. Okay. Yeah, so I am Alex from Shadowpath. And this is actually, it is our fifth enhanced play reading in partnership with the Newmarket Public Library. And this event actually came from our classical play reading club that we started back in May 2020, where we are reading a classical play a month and then meeting at the end of the month to read an excerpt and discuss the play. And this is sort of an offshoot of that program that we do at Shadowpath. We wanted to highlight some of these works in more of a dramatic, enhanced context. And I mean enhanced because we are using, as you can see, some virtual backgrounds, some music and soundscape, some costumes and props, just to help bring the world of the play to life. Yay. So I'm excited to see some return visitors and some newbies. It's always a nice mix. Welcome if you are new, and hello to our returning attendees. So the play reading tonight is quite short. It's only about 14 or 15 minutes. And I'm going to talk a little bit afterwards and ask some questions to our attendees and also to our readers. And feel free to also ask questions using the chat box as well if you have anything that you would like to contribute. Before we do all that, I would like to talk about our playwright this evening, who is Marita Bonner. She was born in 1898 in Boston, Massachusetts. And she was one of four children, and she attended school, which she enjoyed very much. And she excelled in music and German, and also became quite a talented pianist. In college, she majored in English and continued to study German and musical composition. She was also, interestingly, accepted into a competitive writing class that only took 16 participants, where her professor encouraged her not to be bitter when writing, which was a descriptor that was often used for authors of color. After school, she went into teaching, and she taught in West Virginia, Washington, D.C., and then finally ended up in Chicago, where her writing career really ended up taking off. She became an accomplished writer and essayist, a playwright who is commonly associated with the Harlem Renaissance. She regularly discusses poverty, urban living, colorism, feminism, racism in her works. She also was one of few who wrote about multi-ethnic communities. She only actually ended up writing 3 plays, and the third one is the one which we are going to hear and discuss tonight. And that is Exit and Illusion, which was written in 1929. You will be meeting Buddy and Dot. They are neither related or married. They're just very good friends for a very long time. Dot wakes up one day and tells Buddy she has a date. The tension between the two rise to a point of no return as Exit Man appears. So this play involves 3 characters who are used as symbols to represent beliefs of the early 20th century, including colorism and sexism in America. Before we jump into the reading, I would love to introduce our readers this evening. We're going to start with Erin Jones, who is reading the role of Dot. And we have Sam Osei, who is reading the role of Buddy. And we have Maisa Basada, who is our narrator this evening. And not only our narrator, she is also the creator of our musical soundscape sequence, which you will be hearing. So without further ado, I am going to pass it over to Maisa to begin our play. Enjoy.
Exit an Illusion, a one-act play by Marita Bonner, adapted by Aaron Jones. The room you are in is mixed. It is mixed. Everything is mixed. He is Buddy. The girl is Dot. You are in their flat. They are most assuredly not brother and sister. Neither are they man and wife. The room is mixed. Dot suddenly leans over the side toward Buddy. You wonder how she awakens so easily.
Well, Buddy, I got a date. I got to get gone. Buddy.
What's say, Dot? I guess I was asleep. What say?
I say I got a date, Buddy.
Date? Where do you think you're going keeping a date with sick as a dog with the snow on the ground? Snowing now. Where do you think you're going?
I got a date, I tell you.
And I tell you, you ain't gonna keep it.
Oh, cut that stuff. How long since you thought you could tell me when to go and when to come? Store that stuff.
I ain't storing nothing. You ain't going, I say.
Oh, Buddy, I've been knowing the guy all my life. Played with him when I was a kid. Been on parties with him since I've been going round.
Oh, don't try that old friend stuff. What's his name?
Exit.
Exit? Exit. Where do you get that? Off the inside of a theater door? Exit, exit. What's his other name? Or is that the onlyest he got?
Man. Exit Man. That's his name. Yeah.
Well, it sure is a rotten name. Must be hiding from the cops behind it.
Oh.
Look at you. You're about to fall down. You better lay down again.
Let me alone. I'm going out.
You ain't fixing to go out passing, are you?
Don't ask so many fool questions.
Don't get too smart.
Hmm.
Guess there's something after all in what the fella's been saying about you anyhow.
What are your friends saying now?
Ah, shut up. You'd like to think you was full white. You'd never lived here if you were full white and had a crack at a white man. Take some of that stuff off.
I can't. Man likes a woman like me to paint up, so I'll flash out above the crowd.
Man? What's man got to do with the way you look? Look here, you. You've been running around with this fellow man? Is he the white fella they've been seeing you around with for the past 3 months?
They? What they? Some more of your nasty
Don't
old
call them
friends?
that. You're half white.
Look, I told you from the beginning, I've been knowing this guy all my life, been out with him.
Is he white?
I don't know.
You don't know. Where'd you meet him?
Oh, for God's sake, shut up and let me alone. I never met him. This is the last time I'm going to tell you. I've been knowing him all my life.
No, I ain't letting you alone. No, I ain't letting you alone. This is the guy the fella's been telling me about. This is the guy. Old lopsided, lanky white thing. Been hanging around you at all the cafes and the dances and on the streets all the time I'm out of the city. I'm out of the city working to keep you, and you hang around with some no-count white trash. So no-count, you gotta go to colored places, to colored parties. And when you get there, can't even speak to none of them. Ain't said a word to nobody, the fella say. Ain't said a word. Just sitting around, looking at you, hanging around you, dancing with you. He better not show himself around here while I'm here.
He can't never come when you're here.
You're right, he can't come. He can't never come. You better be afraid of me.
He ain't afraid of you. He's afraid of your love for me.
Oh, for crap's sake. My love? He ain't afraid of my love. He's afraid of my fist.
It's almost time. It's almost time.
Almost time for what?
Him to come.
Who?
Exit.
What? He ain't coming here. He ain't coming here. I'll knock his head clean off if he comes here.
He's coming.
Mm-mm. I'll kill you before he gets here, and I'll kill him when he comes.
Oh, buddy, don't take on so. If you love me, he can't come in between your love and come to me.
Damn you. Damn you. Trying to throw this your love stuff out to camouflage and hide behind? I told you when we were fussing before you went to sleep, and I didn't believe you when you said everyone was lying on you. You said everyone was lying on you and you was telling the truth. So you ain't never been with other men. No, I don't believe you. I don't love you.
Oh, buddy, don't. Don't. You love me.
Shut up. No, I don't love you, half-white rat.
Then he's got to come. I gotta go with him.
Yeah, he's gotta come. And when he comes, I'll fix you both. Get up. Get up. Get up and dress to go out before your exit is here. Exit. Exit. I'll exit him when I'm through with you. You must be foolish. What are you putting the coat over the night clothes for?
I ain't got time to put on no more on.
Oh, yes, you got time, sister. Put on all you want. I ain't gonna run you out before he gets here. You ain't going till your exit comes.
This is all I need. All I need. I'm ready.
You're ready. Where's your friend? Can't go without him.
He's here. There he is.
You're a regular sneak, ain't you? Ain't enough to sneak in and take a man's girl while he's out working. Gotta sneak into his house. Sneak in on him when he's minding his own business. Turn around and say something. Turn around and say something. They say all you do is hang around our places and keep a still tongue. Go on over, Dot. Go on up to your exit. Go on so you can go off the way I'm sending you off. Go off like you lived. Lying in some man's arms, and then lying to me. That's the way to die anyhow. Just like you lived.
Buddy. Buddy. Say you love me. I don't want to go. I don't want to go with him.
Go on, get out of here.
Buddy. 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 Do you love me? Say you love me before I go.
The man begins to walk toward the back door. Buddy curses and fires at the same time. A stray shot strikes the light. It goes out. Buddy scratches a match. And you see the man standing in the doorway, about to cross the threshold. His back is still turned, but as you look, he slowly begins to turn around.
Man? Man? Dot! Dot!
At that, the man turns full, and you see Dot, laid limp, hung limp, silent. Showing in the matchlight are the hollow eyes and fleshless cheeks of death. But almost at once, the light flares back. You see the room as it was at first.
Buddy. Buddy. Oh, God. He can't hear me. Buddy, do you love me? Say you love me before I go.
The rattling in her throat is loud, loud. It stops on a high note. She stretches rigid and is still. The room is quiet an instant. You think you hear the rattling, though.
Exit. Man. Exit. You lie. No, I don't love you. Say, Don, I had a... Don. Don. Oh my God. Don. Oh my God. I love you. I love you.
Curtain.
Wow. Okay, we are back from that chilling and disturbing presentation. Wow, it takes me a little bit just to catch my breath a little bit after seeing that. And yeah, I also did want to introduce Cam Parks, who was playing the role of Exit Man. I just want to save that till afterwards. Yes, it is quite an intense piece. And before we jump into that, I would just like to share a few thoughts about why this playwright and this play is influential. So Exit and Illusion follows in the footsteps of the themes of the Harlem Renaissance movement, which includes challenging the pervading racism and stereotypes of, and to promote progressive views as well as racial and social integration. But it also did much more than that. Bonner focused her works on atypical women rather than on an archetypal man. Through characters like Dot, Bonner points out the layered oppression and layered strife they must overcome in order to find salvation. One of Marita Bonner's greatest achievement was emphasizing a strong racial and gender identity. She was important because of her messaging of intersectionality, specifically the Black female experience in the early 20th century. Marita Bonner explores the difficulties that come with belonging to two opposed groups. She describes it as a group within a group and highlights the frustrations of a Black woman who is doubly expected to express her anger with her own oppression, once from white society and then once more from Black male society. In this play, Buddy's complete identification as a Black man and his need to protect that identity was a common take on the Harlem Renaissance themes, whereas Dot's portrayal was an uncommon take on Black identification. Biracial characters have a voice and a platform to express their life experiences. In this way, Bonner's work was unique. because she added that missing layer to the variations of representations in the Harlem Renaissance movement. Dot's theatrical purpose in the play is a representation of colorism. Issues of Dot's race and fidelity are brought up, representing the fact that scrutinization of Black women is never ending and is brought up by those of their own race. Dot's inability to find a place in either world due to judgments from both Black and white worlds eventually cause her own demise. Bonner was wholly opposed to generalizations of the Black experience. She is thus remembered as not only an advocate for intersectionality, but a documentarian of multicultural urban life. Marita Bonner. Okay, I would love to invite our readers back to the thank you screen. Thank you for joining us. And also Cam Parks. Oh, good. Thank you. Exit Man is exposed. Okay, so my question is for actually readers and for the attendees, our audience, have you ever, you can use the chat, it's a yes or no question. Have you ever heard of Marita Bonner before? Before tonight, before this experience, before this play? She was extremely relevant and influential in her time back in the 20s. She was a big part of the Harlem Renaissance movement. And then maybe I'll just turn to the readers. If any of you had heard of Marita Bonner, you can raise your hand. That would not be me because I have never heard of Marita Bonner before exploring this work and this play. So yeah, I don't see any. Oh, Georgia Fullerton, yes. Okay, we have one yes. Okay, so mostly nobody has ever heard of Marita Bonner. Okay, here's another one. You can type your answer in the chat. Readers, maybe you can think of something. I might call on you for your thoughts and opinions. Who is Exit Man? Who do you think Exit Man is? Any thoughts or feelings on Exit Man? And actually, I'm going to start with Dot, who is played by Aaron Jones. Aaron, what are your thoughts about Exit Man?
You know, it's the first question. Yeah, I didn't know who Marita Bonner was, and when I read it, and I knew it was a classical play, but I had to go back and verify because the way it was written was very contemporary, and I was wondering who this Exit Man was, and the name made me sort of suspect. But at the end of the day, he's representative of what she probably knows is coming because of her death. And the only thing that she's holding on to is the love of Buddy. So she needs to hear it. And without that, death comes in. She gives up hope. So he's a physical manifestation of her holding on to life. That's how I interpreted it. But I'm curious to see what other people think too.
Does anybody else think other thoughts about who Exit Man is? Cam Parks, who played Exit Man, what do you think?
Hey, no, I agree 100%. I think he symbolizes death. Basically what Aaron said, yeah, death. The only thing that was holding Dot to life was the potential for the love from Buddy. And when she didn't get that, death just was able to slip right in there.
Okay. Yeah, I think, but okay, so do you think, is Exit Man real? Or is it, as I guess the title suggests, an illusion? I suppose that could be it. Perhaps I was researching a bit. Some people said that Exit Man is a trap. Exit Man is death. That's a very common one. Exit man represents a false escape. So these are all ideas and thoughts. Sam or Misa, do you have other thoughts on that?
Well, I'm just looking over at the comments here. Georgia suggests it's crossing over from life to death. And Lucille says more like one that represents the love she wants. So his name is made up. Or Debbie, taller and escape. When I read it, yes, death. I also felt like this play was kind of circular, sort of like Sixth Sense. Like this thing had happened and then he was kind of re-experiencing it. Like that's where I thought that the illusion part came in. Like what we see at the beginning, they are dead, she is dead. And then he's kind of, I don't know if he's reliving it or if he's, you know, in some sort of psycho place with it. And you know.
Yeah, I thought the same.
Yeah. So this leads me a little bit to another question. So how, because it's not clear. I guess the thing about this play, it's very interpretive. It's nothing is straight and narrow and clear. My question was, how does Dot die? Because Buddy has a gun, Buddy fires a gun. So in some sense, I mean, that could be, again, a representation that he is killing her, maybe not literally with a gun, but in this play, which part of this play is the dream and which part of this play is the reality? Does he ever really shoot her? Is that part of his dream? When they wake up in the beginning, are they actually still sleeping? It's kind of a fun expression of theater that way, that it's never made clear. So really, yeah. So maybe I'll start with Sam Osei. How did this play affect you, or how did this play impact you when you first read it? You obviously were not familiar with, you said you weren't familiar with the playwright or the material before. So what was it like for you to work on this piece?
I really liked it. It was something that pieces of it unfolded for me slowly the further I got into the analysis of the scene. I didn't do any kind of research at first. I just read it and tried to understand establish the relationship between the two of them and the states of being within the scene. And then I kind of went and tried to do some research, but to be honest, I couldn't find that much. So I was just left to kind of guess as the audience was guessing. It seemed to me that, based on my analysis of the scene, that Dot was dead immediately, and much of it was a dream. But my main objective for the character seemed to me that he obviously did in fact love her and wanted her to stay with him. It was a very interesting kind of amorous relationship. There seemed to be leeway. I feel like there would have been leeway had this individual in his mind not been white. So that was something I kind of played with too. But yeah, it was interesting.
The description.
So you're cutting out.
Okay. Echo.
Okay.
You're good now.
Okay. The description says they're very good friends for a very long time. Yet when you read this play, I don't necessarily pick up on a very good friendship here. It's interesting that she doesn't say that they're together. She doesn't say they're in a relationship. And that's very intriguing for me. I'm going to just move over to Aaron again, who's playing Dot. How did this play affect you? Because actually, Aaron actually did some adapting with this script. So the script is, I would say, lightly modified from its original.
When I first read it, I think I said I had to go back and verify, was this really written in 1929? Because sadly, the topics are still relevant today. And I think maybe from my own lived experience, there were triggers in it for me. And I didn't write those out. We just looked at some of the very triggering language, and and it was heart-wrenching to think, what do we do? But a sign of a good play is to be able to get a point across without being vulgar or using shock value. So that really stood out for me, was that the points were still there. And I think, the triggering things in there, for a woman to be accused of trying to pass, to have her color held against her by whoever, especially someone that you love and care for, always keeps you at that arm's length. And that's what I was wondering, if that's why the relationship just stayed in that place. And also, what did society hold for her? When someone is seen as not fitting into one, and I don't like that, but in the Black community or the white community, there's sort of this no man's land, and being put sort of into a fetish mode, or exotic. That's not a word, is it? But being made to be the exotic thing. So you're not taken seriously. So those were moments that really resonated for me, from lived experience, where people won't let you have a safe place. They're always sort of pushing you off, saying you're not this, you're not that. So it was actually really refreshing to see a play with a biracial character in it, and not not hiding that, but actually just representing that and what that experience looks like. So Alex, when you gave us a bit of background on Marita Bonner, I was really thrilled to hear about her writing. It's funny, I guess I'm atypical. I'm an atypical female. But it's nice to see that, because it's not often represented in theater. So, I would like to continue to explore authors that don't get enough representation out there.
Yes, exactly. I agree. Any other thoughts about how the play impacted you, either from our gallery, our attendees, or from our readers?
I have a couple of comments here from the gallery. Victoria asks, does Dot even exist? It's an interesting question. And Lucille asks, does Buddy resent having feelings for a woman that is mixed and not just Black?
Sam, who's playing Buddy, what do you think about that when you were creating this character of Buddy?
Yeah, I think that may have played something into it. It's something I thought about as well, because of his obvious disdain for white people. It's something that he would struggle for. I'm not sure in terms of the actual relationship between them. I'm not sure how fully amorous it was from Dot's side, but it seemed like Buddy was fully into it, and that was a very much a sticking point for him. Like he's loving someone who embodies something that he also hates. So I think that that also was a big issue for him. It was a struggle for him.
Yeah, definitely. It's very like the style of the play. Like I was just thinking about one of the comments, if Dot is real, like who is real? Like, is this a dream play? Is this a dream play? And then I started thinking, what style of play would you consider this piece? Is it an expressionist piece? Is it realism? Is it a relationship piece? Is it naturalism? Is it absurdity? What are your thoughts, anybody really, about where this play, like I understand it's sort of part of the Harlem Renaissance era, but beyond that, And maybe I'm just trying to make it fit into a category it doesn't fit into. But what are your thoughts on the style of the play? Anyone?
I love the fact that it's so open to interpretation. Is it a dream? Is it real? Do people exist? You know, are they sleeping the whole time? All of that. Like I love things like that, where after I see it or hear it, I'm going to keep thinking about it. And if I see it again, I'm going to take a different take on it. So from that perspective, you know, I really enjoyed reading it, enjoyed being a part of it. And, you know, and then there's the whole question around society and, you know, how, and intersectionality. That is just, it's so complex. So, you know, I was really pleased to see that being explored, because it is a topic that can be very sensitive, very touchy, makes people uncomfortable, and therefore sometimes gets dismissed. So it was nice to see something that I could relate to, and see it explored in such an honest way.
Yeah.
Kat
Oh, yeah.
says it reminds her of Kafka or Beckett, possibly, which is absurd. Those are absurdists. And Victoria talks about the intensity and the levels of emotions it brings out. Peter liked the soundtrack and the sets. Thought it added to the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very short piece of theater. You know, it's a very short piece, and it leaves us, when I first read it, I was not confused, but I spent many days thinking about it afterwards. So it's a piece of theater that resonates. It really kind of stays with you. To this day, I'm still wondering. Like, I'm wondering actually why she dies. Why doesn't Buddy die? You know, if she is supposed to be the protagonist, is she maybe not supposed to be the protagonist? Because after all, Exit is what the play is named after. The play is called Exit. It's not called Dot. So I'm wondering, like, who is our protagonist here? Who are our winners and our losers? Maybe that's just sort of like a very traditional way to think about a play that doesn't really live in a very traditional format. Does anyone feel like there's any, like Cam? I'll go to Cam. Do you feel like your character wins?
I mean, if there can be said to be a winner in this play, I think it's Exit Man. Yeah.
I guess so. I guess Exit Man gets what he wants. And Buddy doesn't, and Dot doesn't, when really Buddy and Dot, I think, essentially want the same thing. At the end of the day, it comes down to, it is a relationship piece. Dot spends much of her dialogue saying, tell me you love me. Please tell me you love me. If you tell me you love me, everything is going to be all right. And Buddy spends the play blocking that, denying that until it's too late. So, you know, it's so heartbreaking on top of everything. All the participants are losers. I understand what you're saying. It didn't really come across right, but yeah, like, nobody wins. Nobody gets what they want. I just have a few more questions. What do we think about the themes? I'm always interested to hear what people think are the themes of the play. So I think love is a theme. Anyone else? Maisa.
Possession of people. Like he felt like he possessed her and wanted to hold on to her and not let her go. So that's I mean, I guess that's a negative aspect of love. or how we fit in and how we're seen.
Yeah, if I can build on that, a sense of belonging, a sense of being loved and valued, and just longing for that, and sometimes making bad choices because the desire for it is so bad. And I see there's a good question in the Q&A, just didn't want that to fall by the wayside.
Maisa, do you want to read the question?
Yes, this is from Andrea. I'm curious that Buddy would go so quickly to draw a weapon on someone he cares about, whether romantically or platonically. Why did the actors feel he did so?
I can go first. I really, to be honest, the way it was written, it really didn't establish create a good grounding for that. I think it maybe was a plot device used as a catalyst for what was to come, but I think something major needed to happen in the form of a catalyst in order to create that separation between Buddy and Dot. But specifically a gun, I really don't know why.
Just to follow up on that, Sam, do you think that this is the first time that Buddy has ever pulled a gun on Dot, like in the world of this play?
If he's so inclined to do it that easily, likely not. But based on Dot's reaction, it kind of seems like it's not something that commonplace. So again, I was kind of left in the dark as to that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Chris in the gallery says that what stood out was Buddy's sense of ownership for her life and judgment and feeling justified in killing her. So that may be in answer to that question as well, the ownership.
There's an interesting reference in the play that sort of resonated with me, and that's, I wonder if Dot was like always frail, because she said she's known exit all her life. And, and then at the end, there's the rattling sound and her, struggling to breathe. And maybe it's, again, through lived experience, you relate things to what you can, what's familiar. So I was wondering, when the fact that she's known him all her life is that she's managed to evade death. And it does say in the more detailed script about how frail she is. So I took it as there's someone who maybe was a very sickly child, and just, by the grace of God goes she, that she managed this long, and it was starting to catch up with her. Cold winter day, trouble breathing. So I figured at the time, maybe, she's got pneumonia or, something else. So it was kind of interesting how she said, I've been knowing him all my life. And, so it was interesting. She kind of just was resigned to it.
Another interesting line, when Buddy asks Dot, is he white? And Dot says, I don't know. What? Okay, what's your opinion about that? I'm asking, I guess, Aaron first.
I'm sort of on the fence with that one. And my first impression is she doesn't want to say, because she's going to upset Buddy. And, because there's always that kind of color tension. And again, sadly, very contemporary things to this day, where there's all those kind of unwritten things about don't date outside of your socioeconomical group or your color lines or what have you. So I wonder, but then on the other hand, if he's deaf, that's probably pretty meaningless. So she might say, I don't know, because of that too.
Yes. However, Buddy's lines tend to validate that there is some white guy that is out, like he brings this character of Exit Man into a real setting, because through his lines he's talking about, oh, is this the guy that we're seeing here and seeing, and he's trying to fit in, and they're saying that you're out there with this white guy. So I guess, like, to me, the play is just, it's very kind of unstable, but in a good way, where it's not landing. It's not landing in any reality, really. So it kind of pulls you into this dream state, and then it pulls you back into, like, oh, this is a realistic, play between two people. Yeah, I do think that Exit Man is a symbol, right? I do think that all these characters are symbols, but most illustrated is, or most obvious, is Exit Man. Maisa.
A couple of comments from Victoria. Exit Man is like a child's imaginary friend all her life, and from Sharon is an illness in her life that grew into death. I thought that beyond the scope of this play and these characters, everybody knows Exit Man their whole life. Everybody lives with Exit, always. Like, there's never a time when Exit isn't sitting on your shoulder going tick, 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 for everybody. But it's like the spotlight on those two right then. And, like, you go dancing with Exit all the time. Like, whoever you're dancing with is partly Exit.
So that character has a bit of a universal,
yes,
quality. Yeah. Interesting. Any final thoughts from our readers?
There was a very good point here from Dolores, and she said that she's 80 years old, white woman who grew up in Arizona, and I saw reality. I was 15 when schools were integrated in 1957. Being biracial in those days was like being in no man's land. An Exit Man was a white man who lures for the novelty, but is not there in the crunch.
Well said, Dolores. There's a lot of really great comments in the chat, and it's so fascinating to see how everyone how it resonates with them. And again, sign of some good writing that gets us all talking like this.
Yeah, I actually really wish that this play was a little bit longer. And I rarely say that. Like, this is one example where I just wish there was a few more pages. I think the writing, it leaves you wanting more. And maybe that is why we have to, within ourselves, find these answers that are haunting us, like Exit Man. Well, everybody, that is a great segue. That's going to lead me to my last portion, which is, I always like to end with a quote from our playwright, Marita Bonner. You wonder and you wonder until you wander out into infinity, where, if it is to be found anywhere, truth really exists. Marita Bonner. I'll pass it back to Rob now.
Hi there. Okay, thanks, Alex. And thanks to all the readers and all the attendees for attending. And just a reminder, this is the first Thursday of each month. And the next one will be March 4th. We'll be advertising for that one soon. So we'll leave it at that. I will say goodbye and we'll see you next time. Bye.